If you've ever met Akbar Gbajabiamila before or seen him on TV, you would remember it. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall, energetic, $1 million smile, unforgettable. And if you haven't met him, I think you're in for a treat. Akbar can be seen as a fantasy football analyst on the NFL Network and as a color analyst on the NBC show American Ninja Warrior, among others. Before that, he played in the NFL for the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Dolphins, and we have been colleagues and coworkers for the past few years, and Akbar is easily one of the most energetic, enthusiastic people that I've ever been around. And his story is a classic one. He's the son of Nigerian immigrants who grew up in the Crenshaw district of South Los Angeles, inspired by an older brother who played in the NFL. He's been driven, successful, and has worked hard for what he's achieved. I've enjoyed getting to know Akbar, and hopefully after this, you'll feel like you know him too. So let me have you spell your entire name for me. First, middle, last.
Oh boy, that's a hard task. Okay, it's AKBAROLUWAKEMI IDOWU and then GBAJABIAMILA.
That's so many vowels.
Yeah.
And it's I know you like to say it, so here, go ahead. Say the whole shebang.
Well, I'll say it twice. Akbar Oluwakemi Idowu Gbajabiamila. That's with the American tongue.
Okay.
With the Nigerian tongue, it's Akbar Oluwakemi Idowu Gbajabiamila.
I like the Nigerian version more.
Yeah.
No offense, America, but
yeah,
that's like got a real like
people have a
power to it.
Yeah, people have a hard time really getting into the whole accent thing. So I let it slide. My dad, till this day, still gets irritated. I just had him here in California not so long ago, and he can't stand when people go, "Oh yes, we have a reservation for Gbajabiamila." He goes, "No," I'm like, you can't just go around correcting everybody when they say it incorrect. It's Gbajabiamila to them. Because
your dad grew up
in Nigeria. So my dad came to this country in 1974, in April of 1974. So that's pretty cool.
So I want to get back to that in a minute, but first things first, we are taping this episode of the Dream Job podcast in your, what do you call it? Is living room type den?
This is the area where the kids can't sit.
Oh yeah. So gotta have one of those areas.
Yeah. My wife and I use this as an area to read, to do like, Bible study if we have friends over, but even though my friends come over and we don't really utilize this. Mm-hmm. In fact, you might be the first person to ever sit on that couch.
How about that? Yes, I'm breaking it in for you.
Yeah, so we don't really use it much. But yeah, I don't even know what this is called. I'm like, babe, what is this room called?
The room where the kids can't sit.
Yeah,
I like that. Yes. Well, either way, thanks for having me into your home for this episode, although it may sound different for folks if they hear the gardener go by and the airplanes fly overhead or whatever. But it's cool to talk about, well, first of all, how many job titles would you say you have? Fantasy analyst for NFL Network.
Yep.
Host for NBC and American Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior.
What am I leaving out?
And then host of a spinoff show, Team Ninja Warrior. It used to be Team Ninja Warrior.
Yep.
It's now American Ninja Warrior, Ninja versus Ninja on USA Network. And then occasionally I'll moonlight on Extra. So I'll
entertainment correspondent,
entertainment correspondent
/ former NFL star. Right?
That's
so growing up here in Los Angeles, you mentioned your dad coming over. Both your parents, right?
Both my parents. My mom came in 1969, so she got here first.
Did your parents meet each other here, or
they met here in the state. I think they met here in Los Angeles actually. And after that. There's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah, there's, what is it, 5?
7 of us. Yeah, there's 7 of us.
I lost count at 5. I only have 5 fingers, so I can only count up that high. But grow up here in Los Angeles, and you go to Crenshaw High School, where you're a basketball player first, before a football player. As a kid, growing up in a household in a city that must feel foreign in some ways, especially to your folks having come over from Nigeria, what When you looked at your adulthood and you said, hey, this is what I want to be when I grow up, what did you say?
Well, then you have to understand growing up, even though I grew up in South Central Los Angeles in the Crenshaw district, I really grew up in a Nigerian household. So
almost like Nigeria West or East, whichever.
No, it's just the culture is different than that. Like a lot of my friends didn't understand me growing up. I got made fun of a lot because of my Nigerian heritage.
So what would happen? What would they say?
For example, they would call me things like African booty scratcher. Don't play with him. He's from Africa. They would say things like that, which was, it was really weird growing up because obviously that damages your self-worth. So we had a principal in elementary, Dr. Geneve Shepard, who I still have a relationship with till today, but she would empower us with poems that, like, hey, black child, do you know who you are? Do you know who you really are? Hey, black child, do you know where you're going, where you're really going? Do you know that you can be all that you can be if you try to be what you can be? And just things like that she would say over and over, just different things to help us through those times. But growing up in a Nigerian household, our parents really beat down tradition and culture. And that was something that they wanted to carry over to the next. So you asked, what did I have my eyes set on? Well, in a Nigerian household, you only really had three options: doctor, lawyer, or engineer.
So what you're saying is that you are a disappointment to your family.
Absolutely. What do you mean you're playing in the NFL? What is the NFL? What is this? So you play ball you better go get your PhD and your master's degree. So that was a thing growing up. So yeah, very much being a professional football player, now host, and that right there is considered an absolute, not an embarrassment, but so you settled for this thing. You want to be Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Cool. Why don't you go get your master's? It's not too late for you to get your master's degree and be an engineer or be a lawyer. Dad, I'm not going to be a lawyer. But growing up, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Do you still get that from your dad?
No. My dad doesn't know. My dad is cool. He doesn't wear. There are some other Nigerian parents that will wear you out with that and just trying to put their beliefs on you. But no, my dad is very happy.
So at some point he flipped over and he's like, all right, this is my son. I can just give up my dreams of my kid being the head of the LA law firm or the head doctor at Cedars. That dream was long gone since I got exposed to basketball. But I remember growing up though, watching Perry Mason. I enjoyed watching Perry Mason, and that was like the thing to do. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a lawyer just like Perry Mason. In Crenshaw, was Perry Mason a really popular program back then?
Well, you got to remember the times, though. I'm getting a little older now, so there wasn't like.
I'm older than you, man. So I'm just saying.
Well, there wasn't that many options as far as television. I didn't grow up with cable. I didn't discover cable TV until I got to college in 1997. That was the first time I was even aware of cable TV.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of options. So I watched what was given to me.
All right. So you had this whole thing of, we want you to be a doctor. We want you to be an attorney, some, aspirational job like that. But you excel at basketball in high school. So did the idea of, hey, this would be pretty cool if I could do this and get paid for this, was that, did that light bulb ever turn on? Like
before I ever had a girlfriend, before I ever identified love came through sports. Love was basketball. When things got tough at home, I would go get the basketball and I'd go dribble to my junior high school. And so my parents' relationship, it was rocky, but they stayed together for 30 some years. But my fondest memory growing up was picking up the basketball, dribbling down to Audubon Junior High School and go play hoops till the lights went out. I mean, all right, my parents knew, got to drive over to go get him. You got to come home. All right. I said, well, I'll walk back home. And I dribbled.
So you could dribble while you walked home?
Oh, yeah, dribbled while I was walk home or run back home because I knew I had to get back to do my chores or whatever. But all I had myself in my dream was I was going to go play with Magic Johnson. That was the dream. Like I was going to play. My mom would drop me off at the Forum. And, oh, God, please forgive me for saying this, but I was the master of sneaking into the forum.
You still are the master of sneaking into the forum, which we can get to later. But you would sneak into the forum
into the forum.
Did you ever meet Magic?
I met him years later. So he had a store at the Crenshaw Baldwin Hill Plaza called Magic 32. And it was like, come meet Magic Johnson. He's signing autograph. And I waited in this monster line and I bought a jersey and I got a picture and he signed it for me. And it was just like, I don't know where I have that picture somewhere because I know it can't be thrown away. But like I met Magic Johnson.
How old were you?
I had to have been in the fourth or fifth grade.
How cool is that?
Magic 32.
You know, I think with the kind of job that we have, you meet a lot of really cool people a lot and you get not jaded about it, but it just doesn't have the same magic that it did when you were in the fourth grade.
Yeah.
And you meet your idol. I remember going to Toby Harrah baseball camp when I was about the same age. Toby Harrah was an infielder for the Texas Rangers, and Gino Petralli and Steve Buechele, who were also Rangers, were there. And I was a big Rangers fan as a kid, and they signed my baseball glove.
You lost it.
No, I used that glove till the signatures wore off, and then I would take a pen and trace over the signature so it would still be there.
So that was forgery.
Yeah, but I didn't make any money off of it. But I was so blown away by getting to meet my idols. These guys played professional baseball, and I think when I was a kid, that would have been a huge deal to me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you meet Magic and
met Magic Johnson, and that was like, man, it motivated me even more so that, you know what, I am going to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. Being in the forum and just watching them play, I would just move around seats. If somebody came, oh, I'm so sorry, I got the wrong one. I'd hop over to the next one, and then I'd be looking down over, watching them come out the tunnel. So those were my memories of just growing up, just thinking, I'm going to be a Lakers fan.
That's pretty cool.
A Lakers player.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And were you always tall for your age?
Always.
Because you're
always.
what, 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'6". Okay. Watch your mouth. So 6. Yeah, watch your mouth. 6'6".
I should have guessed 6'7", and then you could have not be insulted.
Yeah. So I was always tall until I got to high school. For me, getting to Crenshaw High School and playing at Crenshaw High School was like playing for the junior Lakers team, because we were genuinely the best high school basketball team in the country. We had won a gazillion championships. We played internationally. We played all across the country, and we were the it school. So my first year I played JV. And then, I struggled to get on the court. I mean, these were talented group of kids. But I just kept working at it. I went and got a personal trainer and started working on my game. I remember my 11th grade year getting bumped up to varsity. That was like, oh my goodness, I'm that close to playing for the Lakers. I'm on the varsity team.
I can smell it. Yeah,
I can smell it. But, long story short, basketball just didn't turn out the way. I ended up becoming like a Rodman role player is my role. But I thought I was going to be more than that. I was a guy who was big, strong, physical, lifted weights. I'd go out there and I'd dive for the ball and I'd go get the rebounds. So, to have 7, 8, 9 rebounds in a game, like that was my role. That became my role. And so, I'm just going to take pride in that, being the defensive player, the guy who doesn't get tired. But I wasn't going to be a basketball star. Like at the time we had Kenny Bruner, Shea Cotton, Tayshaun Prince, Lamar Odom for, Mount Zion. And we went out and played all these different guys during that time. That was like a hot era for basketball. And then there was a shift.
It's interesting because had you carved out that niche and been good at it, obviously Dennis Rodman made a career out of not scoring and grabbing double-digit boards every night. But if you want to get recruited, you got to be flashy.
You have to be flashy. You had to bring. And then the thing was, I stopped because in high school I was about 6'4" and a half. I grew the final inches in college. So I didn't get till 6'6" until I got to college. Most people think you're done by your junior, senior year growing, but I grew into my freshman, sophomore year. I grew.
And you didn't play any football until your senior year of high school?
Until my senior year. I was starting.
Like, had you even played Pee Wee or anything like that?
Nothing. I didn't like football at all. I didn't watch it really. I mean, I watched the Raiders because, they were local and they would come by and give us free book covers and, they were just local. I remember
that was back when the Raiders were in LA the first time.
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah.
And so that was it. And then, we Tecmo Bowl. I remember I liked the colors of the Miami Dolphins. So I remember playing Tecmo Bowl with John Offerdahl and Dan Marino and the Mark brothers, Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. But I didn't know Mark Clayton and Duper because I watched them. I knew them because of Tecmo Bowl.
Right.
And so that was my introduction to it. But that was it. My brother Kabir, who played for the Packers for 9 years. Since he was a kid, he came out the womb playing football, and that was his thing. Basketball was my thing. We never crossed over. It was just like, this is my lane. I just thought it was barbaric, to be honest with you. I thought football's it's barbaric. Why would you do that to yourself?
So how did you get convinced to get on the field?
My high school Coach Robert Garrett, harassed me. Him and Coach Abbott double teamed me. So I'll never forget my 10th grade year. When you play basketball for Crenshaw High School, you get respect in the hood. Like, oh, he plays. That's Willie West guy. Like, don't mess with him. So I remember one day my brother's practicing, and I thought I was cool. Got my new, team issue Nike shoes on. I'm walking across, like minding my business, kind of drifting over and looking at my brother practice, and I hear this loud chant, "Hey, Akbar, come here!" I'm like, who? Akbar, come here! I was like, oh, great. Look, what's this guy want? So I walk over. And coach says, hey, this is Kabir's brother. He's new to the school. And he started expletive. This is expletive brother. This is Kabir. And this is expletive brother. He just started saying some weird stuff. And then out of nowhere, he gives me a gut check. I'm like, what's that for? So I walk off. And then after that, Coach Abbott comes. You should play football. Football? I played basketball for Crenshaw High School. Ain't no way I'm playing football.
It's almost like a step down. Yes,
right. Because they were sorry at the time. And then Coach Garrett comes. You should think about like, no. And they said, man, you're a real good athlete. No. So I get into my 11th grade year. You should try. No. So my 11th grade year, towards the end of the year, going into summer camp, I said, you know what? I'll try it. So I tried it. And I remember crying at my first practice. And I was just like, this is wicked. Elbow bumps, everything was just bruised up. I said, I'm not doing this. I was like, I'm done. I quit. And Coach Garrett told my dad, and my dad is real like, you start this, you finish it. I was like, what? So this is the summer that I'm supposed to be going into my senior year. Like, this is it. This is my last varsity year. Now you want me to add football that I don't even know how to play? I'm like, no, I can't do this. I was like, you don't play football, you don't play basketball. What?
He went to the nuclear option.
Oh yeah, that was nuclear. I was like, what? And I cried and I was upset. My life is over. I ended up playing it, and to my surprise, I ended up getting 5 football scholarships, playing 1 year.
Which, by the way, it's a little bit different now than it was then, but now it's the junior year that really launches guys into the recruiting stratosphere. Yes. So it's like you have a great junior year, and then you get recruited during your senior year. So if you only play your senior, back then is a little bit different, where I think the process wasn't as heated as it is now.
No, it's a lot more competitive, and obviously the more money that has been thrown around, we see these big numbers and contracts.
But still, senior year to get 5 offers.
Yeah, that was pretty odd, but I didn't think I never thought in my wildest dream I was going to get college offer because I didn't know how to play. Literally, this is what they told me. This is what football sounded like for me in high school. A gap, B gap, C gap. That was it. All right, go get the quarterback, go get the guy with the ball, go through the A gap. So Timothy Moore was my linebacker, and he would tap me. So we had a tap on the left meant A, a tap in the middle of my butt meant B, and the tap on the right side meant C. So I always kind of knew so he was responsible for getting me in the right hole. So, and that was it. That's all I knew.
And you just go.
I would just go. So that's all I knew about football. And I say that because here's a funny thing. I ended up getting a scholarship. I had scholarship offers to Colorado State, Oregon, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Cal. And since I never had that opportunity to play with my brother, I decided I was going to go with San Diego State. And then I loved the Coach Toner and Coach Delgado. So I'll never forget my first year practice there at San Diego State. Coach Delgado's like, line up over the tackle. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just kind of looking to see what the other older guys are doing. I'm trying to figure out, all right, I want you to slant into the guard. And guard, I was like, he said, what is going on? I'm keeping, let's do it again. I'm like, coach, who's the tackle? Who's the guard? He's like, you gotta be effing kidding me. He's like, what? Like, what the hell did we bring into the school? He's like, this is the center. This is the guard. And I'll never forget. He says, and this is the mother effing tackle. Like, he was livid. Like, how do we have a guy in here that doesn't know guard, tackles? But I didn't know. I was A, B, and C gap. That's all I knew.
So this reminds me, Hank Aaron, and I don't remember when this happened, but I've heard this story a couple times. When you hold a baseball bat, if you're a right-handed player, your left hand is at the bottom of the bat. Okay. So he had his hands switched. He had his right hand at the bottom, and he was still hitting home runs. And I don't remember if this was high school. I don't remember what stage of his baseball prowess this was, but great hitter, power hitter, had the wrong grip. And then he switches, and he gets even better. So I imagine for them, they're like, here's a kid who had substantial production at the high school level and doesn't know the difference between a guard and a tackle.
Yeah, right.
So if we can get that part down,
we'll be
where
okay.
can we go next?
Yeah, that was cool. It was a learning process. I wanted to play right away. So I was clearly suffering from delusions of grandeur because it was a lot harder. So I didn't really start playing for San Diego State until I got an opportunity in 98, only because there was a whole bunch of injuries. So in 98, I got a chance to start with my brother for 2 games. One was against the University of Kansas and the other one was Air Force. And so that was pretty cool. My brother was a thief. He and I were getting ready to make a sack, and he just went in like super pursuit mode. And I was like, he could have let me get my first sack my sophomore year. So that didn't happen. So I didn't really get into the swing of things until my junior year. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at what point did the light bulb turn on? Like, hey, maybe this is what I want to do, because you're not drafted coming out, so you have to go pursue football. Right. They didn't call your name.
Yeah. Well,
so where did that motivation come from? When did you think, hey, I want to keep doing this?
I would say so. I tore my Achilles tendon in 2000 after what was probably my best game that kind of put me on the radar against Arizona State. That time I was like, so I ended up getting a 6th year of eligibility. So I had 2 senior years. So after my first senior season,
because you redshirted your
I redshirted my freshman year. So after my first senior season, that's when I kind of knew that there was a possibility that I could play in the NFL. But even then, it still wasn't a dream, because I just felt like it was impossible. Like, come on, let's be honest. I was a realist too. Like, I didn't play that long. Like, there's no way I'm going to make it to the NFL. At the time, Kabir had gotten drafted, and I was like, so we're super excited for him. And I just thought, like, hey, look, I'll just be, I was often referred as his little brother. So I didn't think that I would have an opportunity, but it wasn't until I got to the All-Star game, because it came down to last minute if I was going to get that 6th year of eligibility. So I played in the East-West Shrine game. And then once I got exposed to the coaches and Keith Millard at the time and some of these other guys and whatever, I was like, oh, wow, this could be a real possibility. It was then after the East-West Shrine game that I knew, like, I could have a thing. And then when I got the news after the East-West Shrine game that I was been awarded a 6th year of eligibility, I was like, what? Oh, this is it. I've been exposed. I got a little taste of it.
You have the carrot dangling at the end of the stick.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, and that was it.
What did you study? What was your major?
Communications with an emphasis in new media studies. So that's actually an interesting story. When I got into San Diego State, I wasn't the lawyer, doctor, or engineer. That's
what I was wondering. How you were thinking, I'm going to take this communications degree and go be the attorney that my parents wanted.
No, I wanted to do exactly what I'm doing now. And I remember, because my grades weren't as high as they should have been, and the coaches thought, well, academically you may struggle if you get into the communication department, because San Diego State had a pretty reputable communication department, and they didn't think that I was going to be able to complete it. So every college has their hookup major. Some is
criminal justice. Some school, yep.
So San Diego State was criminal justice and sociology. And it was like, and they were genuinely trying to convince me that I could be a FBI, CIA agent, police officer. I was like, none of those things are enticing to me. I don't want to do criminal justice. Well, they wanted me to fall in line, and I rebelled. So I went into community. Well, you're going to have tutoring, and you're going to have tutoring from this time to this time. I'm like, all right, fine. So you needed a 3.0 To get out of tutoring, shoot, I never worked so hard in my life academically. I was like, I do not want to do tutoring. So I needed to show them that I was responsible. So I ended up doing it, working myself out of tutoring, but then really had my eyes set on becoming a broadcaster.
So it's almost like when someone puts that obstacle in front of you and says, hey, you can't do this, that's a real push for you.
That's a real big motivator. Tell me I can't do something, and that's when I come alive.
Yeah, you can't give me your car.
Yeah, it's just something about that. And I think being an underdog, I've always been an underdog, and I'm okay being an underdog. You know, some people have to be the top dog, and like that's where they live. But it's okay to have a little fire under your butt. And I feel like since I was a kid, all my life, people have always had me as the underdog. Not likely to do X, Y, and Z. So that kind of changed after my senior year in high school. But even when I got to college, it was just like, man, look at all these big time guys that they recruited. I mean, it's still unlikely for me to get to that next level. And I wasn't like a super athletic freak either, you know? So it's not like my numbers were just like, oh my goodness, like we got to have him.
It's interesting that idea that when someone tells you can't do it, you're motivated because you try to play football and it's hard and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so then someone tells you, well, if you want this, basketball, you've got to go through this. So maybe that played a role. Do you think that played a role in that mentality that tell me I can't do something I'm gonna prove you wrong?
Yeah, like my high school coach telling me that because he was really trying to get me off the basketball train, and I remember there was this one defining night where we had a basketball game, and a football game. They were really close to each other. I forgot how it all shapes up, but I remember Joe Weekly, rest his soul, was the JV basketball coach and at Crenshaw before he became the head coach at LACC, which is a local junior college here. And he used to have these Tuesday night leagues, and they would run at night. And they would get done at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I remember this particular night, the lights went out at Crenshaw High School. And actually, this wasn't a Tuesday night. I lied to you. This was a Thursday night. This was a Thursday night game and Thursday night practice. And that Friday, we had a game. Here I am at 9 o'clock at night shooting free throws in the dark. It's just me. Joe Weekly's trying to figure out why the lights aren't going out. Everybody else left on stage. You know what? And there was just a little emergency light that you could see that I used, open up the doors so I could shoot free throws because basketball season's just coming down the line. And Coach Garrett happens to be there and he's watching me from behind. I turn around and I look and it's Coach Garrett. Do you know the next day we're playing Manual Arts High School? He took all of my clothes out of the locker and hid them from me. And I came back and I was like, Coach, where's my stuff? And he made me all the way until the last minute. He was like, you left your locker open. It could have been stolen. And when I didn't do it, but he was pissed that I wasn't focused on the game. I was focused on basketball. And so I didn't play that game, but, it's things like that, just kind of like, and that pissed me off. And from then on, I wanted him to know that I was just as serious about football as I was about basketball.
It's interesting, the little mind games that people will play to try to motivate you. And if it'd been another kid, it might not have worked. Maybe he played a different mind game. And I don't mean that negatively either. I mean, that's how coaches have to try to motivate people,
right?
Is figure out what that trigger is, what that pressure point is, and then they push.
Yeah, I didn't want him to think that I wasn't taking it seriously. I was taking it seriously. It's just that basketball was my first. It was like my first love. Like I gave my attention, my life. I
grew up with it.
I grew up with it. It's all I knew. It was my coping mechanism. Even, until I had a little back injury about 2-3 years ago. Like things got hot between my wife and I. You find me on the basketball court. I mean, there was a time when I would be on the basketball court a ton. If anyone out there is married, marriages can be difficult. And I was out there on the basketball court. Like that's how I cope with stress is through basketball.
Even now?
Not so much now because, I don't want to be one of them old guys with a bad back. So
now the physical obstacles are in the way, but if you could, that would still be a place you'd go?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've kind of gone into more weightlifting now to manage stress.
And with, great benefits on the other side of it.
Yeah, my pecs. Look at my pecs.
So, all right, I'm kind of skipping over the NFL career because you mentioned that the communications classes in college were aspirational for you. That you thought, I want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you have the NFL career, and I imagine you knew as you're playing that I'm probably not going to be a lifer. One of those guys that has a 15 or 20 year career.
I didn't think it when I got to the NFL. When I got there, again, it was unlikely. I got picked up as a free agent to the Raiders. I remember crying. I was at my buddy's JR's house, and I remember being on the golf course on the draft had gone by. Everybody was like, man, my name was, because I was projected as a late rounder, like a fifth rounder, as high as a fifth and as low as seventh round. And so I'm just thinking like, man, somewhere in between my name's going to get called. It didn't get called. And I just thought, man, this is it. I poured so much into it and this is how it's going to end. Agent calls me, Bruce Tollner, who's doing a phenomenal job now, but calls me and says, hey, how does Silver and Black sound? I was like, great. I get a $5,000 signing bonus. And I'm like, all right, I'm
Did you think you'd won the lottery?
No. Money I wasn't motivated by money to play football.
Right.
So.
But I imagine, I just know when coming out of college for me, if someone said, oh, by the way, here's your signing bonus.
I didn't have much, but I tell you why it wasn't a lot, because I remember in college taking our scholarship money and investing in Janus funds. And so I kind of seen that, like putting $2,500 in, watching it grow and just looking at, so $5,000. I mean, I kind of had an idea that $5,000 wasn't a lot of money, coming out. So I didn't think,
oh man, if it had been me, I just would have, and not that I would have blown it. I just would have thought like, I made it.
Yeah, I had a chip on my shoulder, and maybe if I got drafted and it was $5,000, but it was just this feel like, man, I felt like I got into the league and I failed. I was like, man, I got to work my way out of this. They drafted Tyler Brayton in the first round, defensive end out of Colorado. They drafted in the third round outside linebacker Sam Williams, who they converted to defensive end. They had a NFL great in Trace Armstrong. Tony Bryant was there at the time. Then he had his neck injury, and I'm just thinking, do you know that this thing is stacked up against the odds? Were stacked up against me. And I was like, there's no way I'm making it on this team. I felt that way. And so I said, you know what? That's all right. I'm going to fight. And I felt like Rocky Balboa going up against Drago. Like that was my mindset. And every day I would just fight. And then on top of that, to make it all matters worse, they gave me number 69 and I got teased relentlessly. You can go so many different ways with the number 69, and I'm a defensive lineman. So I fight, and I battle, and I'm just going at it, just no holds bar. I'm leaving everything out on the field. I was really the epitome of the guy leaving everything out on the field. First one in, all that stuff. I just said, like, I'm leaving here because I may not get another opportunity. And I remember fast forwarding to the end of last day of cuts, and I'm in the auxiliary locker room. I'm not in the main locker room. The whole time I've never been in the main one. I'm in the auxiliary one. Those people they're left to die. And I remember I think it's 4:00 Eastern time is the cutoff for the last thing. So 1:00 we had practice, and it's like 12:55, and I hid inside of the locker room behind the door so the Grim Reaper wouldn't get me. I was like, I'm not going.
Because if he doesn't get to me by 1:00,
that was my logic. If he doesn't, but then I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna be late for practice. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll go out like at 12:56, 12:57. And I'm like, dang, we can't find Akbar. So he's got to make the team. It was my thought. And I started walking out, and I'm like trying to jog to hurry up and get to the middle of the field. Maybe they won't want to embarrass me or something like that. I'll just let them practice. I didn't know. And I get a slap on the butt. Congratulations. It's Bill Romanowski. You made the team. I go, and I had my watch underneath my glove because that's how I was married to the time. I was like, not yet. I still got 2 more minutes. He's like, you made the team. And I'm just jogging out there, and I'm just kind of looking over my shoulder. Horn goes off, and I just started crying. I'm like, oh my goodness, I made it. I went to my hotel room. I was staying at the Marriott Hilton on Hagenberger. I don't even know. My memory's not even this sharp, and now all this stuff is just coming back to me. And I remember, and I sat there, and I even called my brother. I think this is how much, and he didn't say this in a negative way. I called him. He goes, you got cut. I go, no, I made the team. I stayed in the hotel little chair and looked out the window. I swear it was like an hour, like just thinking about my life. Like, how did I get here? And I started thinking about all the people that helped me get to that point. It was a surreal moment. It was one of those surreal moments I'll never forget. Even if I had like some sort of disease that wiped my memory, I won't forget that moment that I made it on the Raiders.
What made that so powerful? Because that wasn't like a lifelong dream. It wasn't something that from the time you were 4 years old, like you said, your brother came out of the womb playing football. Why was that so impactful?
Well, I think at the time it was the sacrifice. My mom had passed just the year before. My mom passed away my senior year, my last year, right before the last senior game against Hawaii. And so I think it was emotional. It was, I was very fragile at the time emotionally, but also too, just like, man, like you work so hard for something and to see it come true. Most people work hard for something and maybe not see it come through, or they give up on it before the dream is realized. They end up doing something else, because there's a real fear in failing. Most people don't want to fail. They don't want to feel that. And so when you throw everything out there and it's like, man, I've got everything. No one wants to feel like they're less than. We are all, as humans, we are all binded together by, I think, one commonality in humanity is that we all want to matter. And no one in their right mind wants to put themselves in a position where they don't matter. And so in order to protect that, you end up, going off into a different path so you don't experience failure. And I think it's one of the greatest gifts that God can give them is failure, because when you taste that, it drives you. And I had a lot of different failures over the course of time, being a bench. Like you see some of my boys from high school, they'll tease me how I rolled the bench, and they had all these little rhymes that I can still, hey, you riding the pine, you ain't getting no MF time. And, I had all these, they used to, there's all these jokes. But there are all these different things, these hurdles. And I think it just came all together, like just thinking about my life in that hour, looking out the window, like, man, I made it. Like, my goodness, I made it. And of all the people that I played with, I could probably name on my hand of all the guys who had made it that far: Tayshaun Prince, myself, who else? Lamar Odom at the time. Shea Cotton, he was a guy that was big in basketball. He was a high school phenom, but just kind of fizzled off at the college. So it wasn't like I had a whole bunch of friends that I grew up with that were in the league in some other sport. There was just like a handful of us, like 3-4 of us that were in the league, period, from my era. I'm like, geez, like across the sports, like that was crazy to me.
I wonder if it's twofold. One, it's a plateau. It's almost like, all right, I've climbed the mountain and I'm up here at the plateau. So I know at least now I can go from there. So I wonder if that's part of it. And then another part is also that now I know I'm capable of it.
Yeah.
And so if I'm capable of this, what else can I conquer? What else can I achieve?
Yeah. You know what? Before I got to that point, I wanted to enjoy the moment, and I did. I can't look back and say I didn't enjoy the time that I was there, but there was this thing to where by my third year in the league, it was like, okay, what else? And then you wanted like, hey, I wanted to be a Pro Bowler. That was a hard hurdle to become a Pro Bowler. I had to get on the field, and I was a pass rush specialist and special teamer. So I wasn't given those opportunities. And then my position switched, and then it exposed me. I realized that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, because moving from DN to outside linebacker, totally different game.
Absolutely
totally different game. And it exposed me. To this day, I still like, gosh, I wish I, didn't say, yeah, I'll play it, because I wanted to impress the coaches and I'll do whatever, whatever it takes. But I was like, that wasn't my thing. I think I could have been a lot more successful. No excuses, but I could have been a lot more successful as a pure defensive end. The outside linebacker it was hard. I was ignorant. I was dumb when it came to football. But the one person who educated me in the game was Greg Minuski. When I got cut from the Raiders, went to the Chargers, he related to me because he was in the same position. He was a guy that was always under the radar. People always slept on, and he taught me. He took the time to actually teach me football. A lot of times it's like a cattle thing. Like, just everybody, come on, we're teaching the same thing. But I had my own individual stuff that I had to work through, my own learning disabilities that I had to work through. And he kind of helped work around and kind of made a plan that worked for me to understand football. If it wasn't for Greg Minuski, I don't work at the NFL Network. I don't know that I could even talk football at a certain level. Not that I know football like, backward and forward. There's still so much that I get to learn. But the fact that I can listen to analysis and I can understand, but before I would just be sitting there, I was like, A gap, B gap, C gap, slants, like that. I stayed in my own bubble.
So I want to hit a few things. I know your time is precious here, but you brought up, you talked about God's gift of feeling like you need to matter. You've been open about your faith.
Yes.
How much has that played a role in chasing these different goals, these different dreams? How much has that been a motivator on that path?
I wouldn't say that it didn't allow me to pursue these things. I think if anything, I'm just grateful for the opportunities. I'm always thankful. Every morning I wake up, I can still hear my mom's voice tell me, make sure you give thanks to the Lord for all the things, the blessings that he's given you. And I look at the opportunities that have been given to me. They've kind of gone anywhere. Going and getting the hosting job for American Ninja Warrior has been life-changing for me. I can still hear people say, oh man, hey, after your NFL career, that's it. Like, you're not going to find anything bigger than that. And that's not how it turned out. And so I can't sit there and take all the credit for myself and go, yeah, look at me. I think I'm like, man, God set me up he took all of those stumbling blocks in front of me and turned them into stepping stones. And I didn't necessarily see the formation and the timing in which God would do it, but that's ultimately how it came out. And so just really for me, if anything, is just trusting that God will provide. I mean, just remember, growing up and I say in American terms, just because I've seen where my parents grew up, but in American terms, I grew up poor. Or globally I didn't, but nationally I did.
Poor is relative. I get relative, that. Yeah.
And so, and then all of a sudden, you get this opportunity to go to college for free, and then you get the thing, and then people are telling you this is as good as it's gonna get. You'll never have an opportunity to make the kind of money, have the same and not that those things were like the things that mattered to me, but I just wanted to be successful. I wanted to matter, right? And I think in that, God just showing me that you always matter. You always matter because I've got you. And so I don't define my success by the dollar amount, by the TV exposure, the followers, or anything like that. I think one of the biggest things is that, obviously knowing that your family and your kids and all, they love you and they respect you. But more importantly, my relationship with God is first and foremost. Yeah.
You finished your football career and you go to the broadcasting boot camp.
Yeah.
Was that one of those moments where you thought, all right, cool, this is now the thing I've got to throw myself into to make the transition?
Yes, I wanted to, and I was so happy that I did because
some people don't know the NFL has a broadcasting boot camp to help players transition into the broadcasting
Yes, because
world.
there's a lot of guys who want to make that transition into broadcasting, and some of them don't know how to. And, I just remember James Brown, being so gracious and teaching me and helping me out, just say anything you need in the process. And I like the way the NFL broadcast boot camp is set up. You have to write an essay as to why. And oh boy, did I write an essay. And it didn't take me no time to write it because it was real. And I think they sensed that in reading it, like, oh, okay, he's not just saying it just to get in. I like to take advantage of any opportunities given out. And when I saw that, I must have been the first one on it. In fact, North Turner at the time told me not to do it. North Turner, who I've got a lot of respect for North Turner, but it's like, you're not focused on football. I said, the hell I ain't. I am focused on football, but I also knew too that like, hey, look, this isn't working out kind of the way I thought. Like, I better start preparing for what's next, utilizing the platform in front of me. And I went, and he, tried to make me suffer for it in OTAs and in mini camp. Oh, you won because I missed a day. I think I missed a day of OTAs. And that was it. Just one day of OTA, and it's voluntary. Voluntary but mandatory is what we call it. Voluntary but mandatory.
VBM.
But he gave me hell. Like, some guys in here are not serious about it. I'm like, I missed one day of OTA to like better myself and learn a skill set. So
guys miss OTAs because their pinky toe hurts. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
Have some perspective.
Right.
Well, I imagine once you get there, you shined. I remember the first time I met you, and you may not even remember this. I'm touring the sets at NFL Network with Mark Watts when I was going to do some fill-in on the morning show then.
Okay.
Good Morning, or no, not Good Morning Football. It was
NFL AM.
NFL AM, yeah.
NFL AM, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So Mark Watts is showing me around, and I think you probably come off the Fantasy and Friends set, and you were showing off your you had a tie bar.
The collar bar.
Collar bar, exactly. You had a collar bar you were showing off because I think you were proud of your suit or whatever. And that was the first time that we met. But I remember I wasn't familiar with your work at the time, but you definitely had that. Like you could just tell watching you talk to Mark that would translate to on camera.
Yeah.
So which was more work, the becoming the broadcaster or the research and all the stuff that goes into putting the broadcast on?
The research that goes into it. The research is heavy. I've got one of my good friends and teammates, former teammates here at the house with me, Terrell Mays, and we were just talking about it. And I was just like, man, it's like college, being in college, like just having to stay up on it. And then
there's more research every week.
Every week is more research, and it's this turn, and you have to be able to kind of project what's going to happen. And you got to look at this, but then you also have to understand the past and what's happening. And it's just like, it can be exhausting. I mean, it is a, and I'm not complaining, but it's a 7-day-a-week thing, just staying up, like making sure you're alert on, oh, this guy got hurt, because I can't go out and say, oh yeah, this guy's going to be good. And
he's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt. He's not playing, right? Yeah. Like, oh, when did that happen? Oh, 20 minutes ago. Oh,
it was all over the news. Everybody knows, but you,
right? So it's just like this constant soap opera. I mean, this is what it feels like. You have
it's tough, man. It's because you look at 32 teams, the size of the rosters, the sheer number of moving parts, and the sheer amount of statistical data. And then you add the fantasy component, too,
which is even more math and more data, and just and being able to come up with a lot of that stuff. Like I'm constantly having to be married to my email so I can communicate, like, oh, we need to talk about this, or this just happened, or I'm getting this stuff back. And it's heavy work. It's a heavy duty. It's heavy duty.
So you and I don't want to gloss over any of this stuff, but I know your time is precious here. You have the career at the NFL and NFL Network, and it's that work. But I think an aspect of it came naturally to you, obviously, just based on who you are and the kind of approach you have to how you communicate with people. When did the opportunity for American Ninja Warrior, how did that come about?
Well, I got a call from my agent and said, hey, there's this audition. And at the time I had been on a bunch of different auditions. I never get anything. That's what I was feeling. So at this time I was already kind of a little numb to it. I was like, all right, I'll go for it. I looked at it the day before. I had heard about it, but wasn't really familiar with it. I looked at some video, and I think what happened for me was I didn't have the pressure of, I got to get this.
Right.
I didn't have the pressure. I said, I'm just going to go out there and have fun with it, because it just seemed fun just watching it. I was like, oh, this would be great. But then again, there's my insecurity. They're probably not going to get me, whatever. For whatever reason, I didn't think it was going to work. So I went out there and I essentially just balled out. I mean, and what I did was I took it back to my childhood days. I was a big WWF fan before it was WWE.
Yep.
And I just kind of used that as my motivation, is like in trying to channel my WWF, and we just had fun with it. No script, anything, just boom, just went to it. And that's it. I got 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. It was, March 23rd. It was March 25th, 2013 when I got the phone call. And it was just like, oh my, like, I can't believe I'm going to be the host. And it was like, all right. But that first day was rough now. Mm-hmm. First day at work, say, hey, you start work in a week and a half. And I get there, and let me tell you something. I thought as excited as I was, I said, my career is going to end. I won't be asked back. My first day, they go, all right, here you go. Here's the script. And they give me this large script to memorize like 30 minutes before I go on air. I'm like, what? I'm like, I signed up for this. And then I'm sitting there and they're trying to get to memorize and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then every 10 minutes, and like Steve Harvey had this whole big thing, like don't knock on my door. I sympathize with him when he said that. Literally every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, somebody's knocking on my door. We need this. I'm like, I'm trying to prepare. Hey, I need this. Do you need this? Come in with it. Hey, we need you for this. Okay, I need you to meet this person. I'm like, oh my goodness. I can't even, I don't even own my trailer. Like they're in my face. So we get up to the booth and so all right, go. Lights, camera, action.
You and Iceman, right, at the time?
Yeah, me and Matt Iceman. It's like lights, camera, action, go. And he gives his line and I'm trying to memorize and I get to a certain point. I'm like, I can't remember this, let alone the other 20 pages I haven't even memorized yet. I'm trying to look at it. Then he started trying to feed it to me in my ear. Literally my first stand-up, not joking, took almost an hour for my first stand-up. These are just like lines or whatever. And I'm embarrassed and I'm doing this in front of a live audience.
Oh,
and let me tell you something. I did cry. After the show, I cried. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to finish this season. And if I do, I will not be asked back for year number 2 for sure. And they said, okay, you know what? Just forget it. Just drop it. Like you could hear the frustration. Drop it. Let's just call the runs. They've already waited an hour for me to get a script. I couldn't even get right. And boom, the lights came on. Like I didn't have the pressure and I just started ripping. It was like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Oh, man. And it just started coming live. But then, oh, can you say this? Try this. And they were still trying to fix me to be something because they didn't trust me really. But once they said like, ooh, so they started like, hey, you know what? Let him just rip. Let him just rip. And then as they like, so that's how the whole Akbarism. And once they realized like, oh, okay, we can teach him how to do it. I say, hey, do you guys have prompter? They go, yeah, we can do prompter. Great idea. Guess what? I didn't know how to read prompter. So it was even longer. I'm like, oh man, no. And then it was like, because there's this awkward feeling of reading in front of people.
People don't understand that the reading a teleprompter is not a natural.
It's not easy. And it's like, and I start thinking, oh, maybe because I went to Crenshaw High School, I'm dumb. And, maybe, like I started having all these insecurities pop up like, oh my goodness, and all these other people, and you can hear the fans like, it's not that hard, say this. And you got thousands of people watching you. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. I was sweating under my underarm, my palms were sweaty. I was like,
knees are weak.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, right.
On the sweaty already.
Come on, Eminem. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, I can't do this. I went back and I cried, and then we went into the voiceover sessions and they were trying to tell me you got to speak a certain way and you have to enunciate this. And Patrick McManus, one of the directors, and Kent Weed and Arthur Smith say, man, you know what? Just be you. Like,
because that's who they hired.
Yes.
It's amazing how long it takes for people to realize that sometimes in this world. They think they want this and they've got this diamond in the rough over here that they don't realize.
Yeah, because sometimes they try to make you into something else. And, so they had another crew that was working my first season. And then next year they got a whole new crew and they say, just be you. So I've seen your stuff. I've watched you on other stuff. Just be you. And I was like, and I can say this and I can say this slang word, because at first they wouldn't even let me say slang words. Like, oh no, I don't think the people will understand.
Like,
that.
What's a word they wouldn't let you say?
Oh boy, I can't remember now, but whatever the it word was then, I would just slide it in and then we're like, and then I was like, and I'd never been told ever in my life. If anything, in my community that I grew up in, I was always told that I spoke too proper. And I was never told that I couldn't speak. Like that was, if anything, that was weird to me to hear somebody tell me I couldn't speak. And I'm like, what? I was like, that's the first, I've never heard that before.
Right.
So that was weird. But then I'd never forget Patrick McManus. Like, hey, look, man, like he got in my ears like, dude, like seriously, like just speak the way you do, like just do the way you do. And I just started telling like, it was like a little kid, like, can I say this? Can I say that? Can I did this? I was like, shoot, dang, that's crazy. That's cray. Cray was
right.
And they just let it all, and they kept it all in. I was like, oh shoot. And then I said, then I didn't have to, because at first I was testing, and then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna say whatever comes to my mind, and however it comes out, that's it.
And then we'll see when they start pulling me back.
And then it ended up becoming a thing. And there's this whole Twitter account on it, Akbarisms, and this person like documents all the crazy things that come out of my mouth at 4:00 in the morning. So it's been pretty cool.
I think that's it's funny how you had to kind of get over that hurdle, and it was more about them getting used to what you could do than you. Because I think that was always there. The guy who could yell cray cray at the feel was always there.
Yeah, if that happened to me in football, I think I would have had a different career. But they try to mold you into what they want you to be.
So to wrap up, is this a dream job for you?
Absolutely. It is a dream job. I'm living my dream. I just pray that it will last as long as I get, or take me into retirement. So I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I genuinely love what I do.
What would you say to the you 10 or 20 years ago?
What would I say to Akbar?
What would that kid think of where Akbar's landed now?
Like, dang, you big time. Yeah, that's what I say. You big time. You just don't know when you're, that kid thinking about, hey, dang, I don't have, a new pair of shoes, and, I don't know what I'm going to eat for dinner, or, being made fun of, girls don't like you and all this other kind of stuff. You don't know. But then thinking, like, you look back and you go, wow, man, that's pretty cool. It's pretty special.
All right. Very last thing, because I know you've got...
I got to do daddy duty.
Daddy duty to get to, which is also a dream job.
Yeah.
So I don't want anybody to leave a Dream Job podcast episode empty-handed. So do you and your wife enjoy champagne?
No, I have a funny story about that. Okay. I do drink red wine. I do like that because it's in the Bible.
It is, yes.
You see how I qualify that? But here's a true story about it. My mom had a party at the house, and there was apple cider for the kids and champagne. I threw up because I drank a whole bunch of champagne, not knowing the difference. And till this day, when I smell champagne, I get sick. It's like, it's this nostalgic thing that happens.
Great.
Like, I can't.
I got a great gift for you then.
And guess what? I didn't even at my wedding, didn't even have champagne.
So tell you what, is it a gift if you can re-gift it?
Sure, absolutely.
You can go make someone think that you were like thoughtful and like showed up with something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll gift it off. Yeah. Just make sure we edit this part out.
Yeah, you might edit this part out.
So I don't know.
There you go. All right. So to wrap it up, let's hear that full name one more time.
Akbar Gbajabiamila.
The man with the dream job. I think that's what that means, right?
Yeah.
In Nigerian?
Yeah.
The man with the dream job?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right, man.
All right, so super embarrassing not knowing that Akbar and his wife don't drink champagne. That is the issue with trying to give someone a gift of alcohol. But I did follow up later and give them a bottle of red wine that Akbar promised me they would drink. So hopefully all is well that ends well. Who doesn't like champagne? Anyways, I definitely walked away motivated by Akbar's story. The idea that when someone tells you you can't do something, that is what inspires you to prove them wrong. Good stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and will subscribe, tweet it out, share with your friends, whatever. And also share any feedback you have with me. I'm pretty easy to find at Mark Istook on Twitter and Instagram, Mark with a C, Mark Istook on Facebook, and you can read more at markistook.com/dreamjob. Until next time, thanks for listening.